with AI.
Yep. So we're moving on. See, Katie's learning the art of segueism. So with AI, we this is a subject that was broached by us last episode, and you guys are probably going to get really tired of hearing us talk about AI, but
But
it's
then literally the next day.
literally the day after we recorded, right? And I
Yep.
want to say, like, we recorded Tuesday night, and it was like Wednesday
It was
afternoon.
Wednesday. For
Yes.
real. It was like
So
that.
here is the news of the Wednesday following our last recording, and we had to wait 2 weeks to talk about this, and everybody else has already got their opinions and stuff, but y'all haven't got our opinion yet, and
You're
you're
gonna hear
about
our
to get
two
it.
cents.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about Johnny Cash and the Cash Estate's usage of AI to produce. Well, let me change that. They're not specifically using AI, supposedly, to produce the new Johnny Cash stuff. AI is not being used in that context. But Katie and I were speculating on how AI would be used in that instance where someone has passed away and whatever. And then the very next day, we hear on the news that somebody who's still with us but does not have his voice anymore. By the way, golden, um, iconic voice, by the way,
Mhm.
has made a new song using AI and openly admitting to AI. We're talking about Randy Travis, of course, one of the most iconic voices in music history. Damn sure, probably the most iconic voice, other than maybe Dolly and Willie in country music. Like, you hear Randy Travis, you know it's Randy Travis.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, Randy Travis, I want to say about 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, had a stroke. And as part of that stroke, which he wasn't supposed to survive from, by the way, but he did, he has lost his ability to vocalize or speak. He can speak in very short bursts, but basically, doctors have said that he will never perform again and what have you.
Yeah.
So I want to read a little bit about this. An American country music star, I'm reading this from VOA News. American country music star has used artificial intelligence to make music again years after suffering a stroke. Now, Randy Travis is 65 years old. He was obviously a popular country music performer in the 80s and 90s. He's won several Grammy Awards during his career. It was 2013 when he had the stroke, so I was right about 10, 11, 12 years ago. Um, he had a heart problem which led to the stroke, and the stroke made it hard for Travis to speak. And he has not made music since his stroke until now. On May 3rd, which again was the day after we recorded, Travis released a new song with the help of artificial intelligence. I'll include that song in the description below so you guys can go take a listen if you would like to. I know Katie's probably listened to it. We'll talk about that in a minute. Um, the song itself is called Where That Came From, and it was written by songwriters Scotty Emmerich and John Scott Sherrill. Again,
Oh wow.
if you're a song nerd like Katie and I, you saw Katie perk up. She knows who we're talking about. Scotty Emmerich, for example, was Toby Keith's longtime songwriting partner. So they wrote the song, and then James Dupree is the gentleman that had his voice used for the AI program. And the way this worked is the person who decided to produce this talked with computer programmers in London about making an AI system that could recreate Randy Travis's famous voice. They produced two models. One model used 12 vocal samples from Randy's career, and the other one used 42 samples. So they used 54 total samples, which gave them a lot of sampling material to work with. And they used a lot of the samples came from the first record too, from 1985, which was called Storms of Life, one of the best country records ever, by the way. Um, Now, his longtime producer is the one that's producing the record. This is not like a bunch of people, in my opinion, that's just trying to make money off of Randy Travis. This is literally his people, his band, his everything is what's putting this together. Um, let's see here. Now, Kyle Lenning is the longtime music producer. Talked a little bit about the process of making the song. Basically, another singer recorded the song in what is known as a demo. We're well familiar with demos. So James Dupree is the singer on the demo. And then the AI system, which these programmers from London designed, um, analyzes the song, or the demo in this case, and then basically applies Randy Travis's voice over the top of it. And so now basically what you end up with is you end up with a Randy Travis song, basically, with James Dupree sing in harmony, is what it sounds like. So that's kind of the technical aspect to it. Katie, you've heard the song. What's your opinion on it?
I mean, it's okay. It's weird being 2024, you know. But regardless of that, I I okay. So he can consent. I hope. I hope that he consented to this. But he is alive. He can consent.
So he did. He did consent.
Uh-huh. So that changes the whole kind of, I forgot who we, Johnny Cash.
It was
Because,
Johnny Cash. Yep.
yeah, because that's a different story. He's passed. That's kind of a different thing. But with Randy, I mean, my dad had a stroke and like he played guitar forever and he couldn't use his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, completely different story, but I know like you lose a lot of things that you love to do.
But your dad was all there. He was all there mentally,
yeah.
So he could make decisions about his well-being,
Exactly.
or whatever, legal decisions. Which, from
Absolutely.
what I understand, even though Randy Travis cannot vocalize that great, he is all there, according to reports.
Yeah.
He is mentally present. So
right.
From from a legal standpoint, he can give his consent on this.
I wonder how he feels about it. I bet he thinks it's like really cool, because he's able to kind of do what he wants. But at the same time, like, it's really, I would find it sad because like it's your creation, but you can't.
But see, that's the thing. It's really technically not his creation.
Yeah.
The song is written by somebody else. And I mean, many of his songs throughout his career were songs that were written by other people. And he just, I say he just put his voice on it, but I mean, it's obviously more than that. I mean, his voice is the voice. I mean, we talked about Matt James being the voice last week. Yeah. Randy Travis is the voice. Like, when it comes to country music, it's him. So I don't want to diminish what his role is in making music just because he didn't write the song or whatever. It is his voice. But in this instance, I would say it's probably on, as long as the songwriters are cool with it, which obviously they're going to be. You asked how Randy would feel. I would imagine if I was in his shoes, I would be excited. Because here it is. It's 11 years since I'm basically not supposed to be here. You got a bonus life. And prior to your bonus life, your entire life was music. And then your bonus life has none of that in it. You're not able to do it. You're not able to sing. You're not able to play. None of that. So I imagine this is probably really exciting to him.
Yeah.
It would be like if your dad could pick up a guitar again all of a sudden and play again, Imagine how excited do you think he would be sad?
No, not at all. I think that's I'm just saying I would be not sad. I would just wish I could be more involved.
Right.
In the process.
So you would still be
kind of like a bittersweet thing.
So you would still be wishing that you could do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I could see that.
Personally. Yeah.
For me, when I heard the song, It's obviously Randy Travis. I mean, you can put his name on it. The voice sounds like Randy Travis. It sounds like a Randy Travis song.
Hmm.
But for me, man, this is going to get some comments. I think I'm a huge Randy Travis fan, so this is going to be hard for me to say. But it felt to me like the soul was missing from the song. I don't know how better to describe it.
So here's the thing with AI, AI is a robot. Robots are perfect. They're gonna make everything perfect. Here's the thing with a human, nothing's perfect. You can have the beautiful perfect sounds, which is everyone, wants to be on pitch and have perfect. But the imperfections in people's voices or their tone or any little thing like that makes them that person and makes them that sound and gives you that magical like spark
Yep.
in their voice. When you just generate that, it takes it out of it. Yeah, it sounds great. It's to the T, on pitch, on point, everything's great. But it takes the feeling out, the soul.
Yeah, it was definitely missing that human connection for me. And so for me, then as an analytical mind that I am, I start wondering, well, is that a placebo effect on my part because I know that it's AI generated.
That is true.
So for example, if you had sent me that song and said, "Hey, listen to this Randy Travis song from his college days before he was famous," and you tried to sell it to me in that way, would I still feel like the soul was missing from it? You
I
know,
feel like that would be easier to sell like in like pop music because it's more produced to be like perfect, like
yeah,
that kind of stuff. But like country tends, well, especially like Randy Travis, it tends to be more raw, which I think is why it feels so lackey.
yep.
But but I do think that is a major part of it is you're missing the imperfections
I
because
just I wish
that's
I
what
could have
makes
I wish I could have listened to the song without having any other information
yeah,
about it because I don't feel like I can give it a proper review when I know that AI generated the song.
yeah,
It's hard for me in that aspect, but I'm extremely happy for Randy and his wife.
and
I
too.
I have not had the opportunity to meet Randy and Mary Travis yet. I have been in the same room as those two people, though. That I can say that. Woot woot. I can say that. We were at the TRRR Awards a few years ago, and he was kind of a surprise. Nobody expected him to be there, and then he was just there. There he was, like, holy crap! It's Randy Travis. Um, I don't want to go too far into the AI wormhole again, but I think this is
It's
going to
gonna be
be,
an every episode thing.
yeah, I think this is something that we're going to have to talk about because it's part of our folklore now. It's like part of if you're in the music business, this is something that's being talked about a lot.
It's
Um,
scary, kind
so we talk about Johnny Cash. Again,
of.
I want to reiterate, I am not suggesting that AI was used in the recording or production of Johnny Cash's new music because I don't believe it was. We are
Hmm.
just trying to make a connection between the use of AI and somebody's estate who is no longer here. And is
Hmm.
that allowed? Should it be allowed? And if it's not allowed, how do we regulate it? Because
Yeah.
creativity and art always has to have some kind of regulation to make sure that the people that are creating are getting their due course. That's important.
Hmm.
Um, but right now, it is completely legal for some kid in his basement in Buffalo, New York, to pull a bunch of samples from, say, Jimi Hendrix and then come up with a story and just implement it into AI, or not necessarily a story, but a topic or a subject or something to write a song about, and then overlay Jimi Hendrix's voice and his guitar playing and all that onto that song. And that's completely legal, and Jimi Hendrix's estate has no say in that.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a way to police that. I don't know what it is.
Absolutely.
I've racked my brain. I'm not sure what we can do because we are still at the point in time where artists are legitimately getting raked over the coals still by these streaming companies, where
Mhm.
literally if you bought a single for 99 cents from somebody on iTunes, it would be the same as, I think, like 500,000 streams or something. Like 500,000 streams is the same price as buying a single for $1.
Yep.
It's 2024. That doesn't seem fair.
No.
It's not fair. It's not
Mm.
fair. But my point is we haven't figured that out yet to where it's fair for artists, and yet here we are with another
No,
debilitating.
doggy style. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you do if you're in charge, Katie? What things do you think could be implemented to protect artists such as yourself?
Um, I mean, AI, I think we're too early on to say. I think there's so much like left still unknown. But I mean, I believe regardless there should be consent, whether from the artist or the artist's family, something of the sorts. But man, it's gonna be it I know I've me and Jackson go down a loophole with this, and we've heard like some people like just releasing like AI music, like, and it's becoming so popular, and like people don't even know it's AI. I believe that should be labeled first of all, so that you're like, I believe a person should be credited for being a person and having their own creativity and not being a robot, for one. But I mean, I don't know what you can do about it without,
It's so hard because of evidence, right? Like
yeah.
anytime
And
you.
it's still expression of some sort. Like even though it's generated and everything,
Mm.
like you're coming up with the topic, it still is it's a tricky
It's still somebody
thing,
creating something,
something.
right?
Yeah.
So you remember back in the day, maybe you don't, you're still a youngin', but for me, back in the day, um, rap artists would use samples.
Yeah.
And so they would take a sample. One that comes to mind straight off my head, I can't remember the artist. I want to say Jay-Z. Is he the one that did Hard Knock Life? It's a hard knock life.
I think so.
I think that was Jay-Z.
I
Um,
think so.
I'm going to
I
look it
think
up
so.
just so I'm accurate about it. So yes, it was Jay-Z. Hard Knock Life. They used a sample from Annie. Obviously, it's a
Mhm.
hard knock life. For that's a sample. And back in the day, before this was regulated, the original artist of Annie would not get any credit whatsoever
Yeah.
in that song. The way it was prior to the laws being changed and making it so that anybody who is sampled on a song gets credit for the writing of the new song.
Absolutely.
And so I think of Jay Z. There was Vanilla Ice had.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Mm-hmm. So that
Yeah.
was a sample that he got from Jay and the Americans. I think. I think is.
What?
Yeah, I think so.
Queen and Bowie.
It might. Was it Under Pressure? It was Under Pressure. What? Yeah, that's what it was. But that's the point I'm making is prior to the law being changed, those types of samples would not credit the original artist that wrote the sample. And then so somebody like Vanilla Ice, before the laws were changed, could just take that sample, make a completely new song around that sample, and then he is the one that gets paid for it prior to the laws being changed. So a lot of people didn't think that was a cool thing. And now sampling is being done so often that you,
Mhm.
as a consumer, don't even realize that a song is being sampled within another song unless you're told that the song
Mhm.
is being sampled in the other song. That's how often it's being done. It used to be illegal, right?
Mhm.
They couldn't,
I I like, okay, like in the Jay-Z thing, that's cool. When you get to like the Vanilla Ice thing, or like just when you're sampling and it's like, first of all, that's a big generation difference. You know?
yep.
They don't know what that is. I do think that it feels kind of like a payoff thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I'm gonna do all this. Everyone's gonna think I'm really cool, but I'll pay you off on the side.
Well, that's how it
Like,
used to work too. Is I mean, you've hit on a good point. The point being that is an artist from say 2018 would find a beat or something from 1974 that they
and
like,
no one would ever know.
super
Yeah.
obscure. Oh man, listen to this deep cut I found on a record by this nobody that nobody ever heard of. We're going to put this into this song and we're going to sample it. We're going to make a new record of it and nobody will know the difference. That was
Yep.
happening a whole lot, like a
Oh
whole
yeah.
lot. Um,
Because until someone notices, or hey,
that's right. And
no one knows, no one cares.
as long as no one notices, it's cool.
Yeah.
But the thing is there are more people now that are the way the industry has changed. There are more people that are protecting themselves with lawyers and
Mm,
accountants and all of that stuff,
absolutely.
trademark attorneys, copyright attorneys, and you have to protect yourself. Even that person that's obscure from the 1974, they might have an attorney. Their estate might be listening. You just never
Yep.
know, and that's the risk you take if you try to cheat. But there has to
Hmm.
be some way to protect somebody's likeness or ability beyond just a copyright or a trademark when it comes to AI.
Right.
And I think the industry is really gonna struggle with this because courtrooms need evidence, right? Not just
Yep.
conjecture. You can't just go into a courtroom and say, "Oh, this person used my song to use AI to create their song," and how are you going to prove that they used your voice in AI?
Yep.
Like this, I don't know how this is scary if you're in
It
the
is.
music industry. I'm not sure how you fight this.
It's scary in every single aspect, but obviously music is people don't realize it. It is such a huge thing in the world, in everyone's life. Music has so much to do with everyone. Even if people are like, I don't listen to music that much, it's still a big part of people's life, and this kind of thing right here can literally not ruin, but for me, ruin all of music. Easy. Like just give it like, maybe 20 years or so, and then we have no artists because it's all AI and you can't beat perfection, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's where I think that in a nutshell is what everybody is so afraid of.
Yeah.
Is just if you are a creative person, does that mean now instead of picking up a guitar and creating a song with your guitar or your piano or whatever it is that your instrument of choice is, does that mean now you just go to your PC
Yeah.
and just implement whatever chords you want and whatever melodies you want? And does that mean everything in the future is going to be down to mathematics instead of having the soul in it?
Yeah.
You
I
know,
uh, I really hope not. I really hope that the human race will always want its humanity, but we'll see.
I think the hard part is I think most consumers, if they
Don't
knew,
know and don't care.
I think don't know is true. I think there's a lot of us that do care. I think a lot of us
Yeah.
would prefer, I think a lot of us would not listen to a song if we knew it was AI generated,
Yeah.
unless we knew the backstory
Hmm.
from however it was conceived, like it is here with Randy Travis, right? Like we know the backstory of how it was conceived, why it was conceived. It's because Randy Travis doesn't have a voice. This is his chance to put more music out into the world with his voice on it. Again,
Yeah.
he didn't write the song, he didn't form the words, but it's his voice. It's his samples that were used,
Yeah.
and the backstory is there. Everybody was very transparent with this, and the fear is the lack of transparency that's going to be in this realm in the future.
And
Because,
there already is so much,
of
like
course,
within the media, like we
yeah,
were talking about.
mm-hmm.
There already is so much of it.
Yep, yep. It's sad. It's scary, and I'm sure we're going to find some smart attorneys out there will figure out how to regulate it,
Yeah.
and
I hope
hopefully,
so.
hopefully it will benefit the artist more than it does the person that's just trying to sample the music. Because I remember, again, back in the day when all this sampling was happening and everybody was so vicious against artists that were using samples. Like, use your own stuff, create your own thing. But now, as a music fan and a consumer, I think of all the music that has happened because sampling was regulated and allowed.
Yeah.
So much cool things that were made better. Like
Yeah.
how many songs out there have sampled, for example, Bohemian Rhapsody. You know,
Mhm.
sampling every day on TikTok. Like there's just so much of that, and it's nice to know that if you hear a version of Bohemian Rhapsody on TikTok or wherever, it's nice to know that whatever revenue is generated from me consuming that is going to the artist. It's nice to know that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
we have to get to the point where AI is also doing the same thing, and it's benefiting the people that's being I don't want to say abused, but used is probably the right word.
Used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I think we're on the same page as long as the person or people that are being replicated by AI are on board and part of it. I think we're okay with it, you and I.
Yeah.
Um, like Johnny Cash, obviously, they're not using AI. I can't reiterate that enough, but if somebody like Elvis or Jimi Hendrix or Patsy Cline or any dead artist um, were to create a new song using AI through that artist's estate, then I think I would be okay with that as well.
Mhm.
Um, but then that's where you start with your gray area on stuff like, is it a money grab and should we support it and all of those things. I think Randy Travis is a really interesting case. I don't think there's
Yeah.
going to be
Absolutely.
too many others like it.
Agreed.